Yeah. Hello, everybody. Um, Probably going to do a couple videos tonight. This one's going to be serious because there was a big story today about how rich people feel like they're being attacked, and that we're coming for their money, and have no empathy for the situation that they're in. And on the counter side of that argument, what I've seen from the non-wealthy is along the lines of "fuck you, you're rich, and I have nothing." So I pointed out to a few people, I forget who exactly, but I pointed out to a few people that the wealth. It's not that the complaint of the wealthy is exactly legitimate, but it's not as illegitimate as it seems. Now, I've studied a lot of economics. I have multiple degrees, and I've studied a lot of economics, so I know the economy likely better than most people in the world. Not to say I know who has all the dollars and cents. I don't know all the terminology. I don't know all the key players. But none of that shit matters. What matters is I know the system that has been created and is used and we live in a capitalist world. It's capitalism is not a national thing, but it is still instantiated or instituted on a national level. So it's just filled with contradictions, some deliberate, some by accident. The big bank lobby has a lot to do with it. People think that what they're doing is in the other people's best interest because people don't know how to manage money. Something like the Forbes richest people's list, people put a lot of stock into that, but it actually really doesn't mean much. I'll come back to that. I'm going to touch on all these topics a little bit more, but I'm just kind of setting the stage. And then finally, sort of the last topic is that I'm going to focus mostly on the U.S. here, but most people pay, the taxes that most people pay are sales taxes and income taxes. Now, if you pay attention to your paychecks, you'll notice there's a few other taxes being withheld, which are fairly nominal amounts. And now I'm not arguing for taxes, but the point is most people are aware of income tax and sales tax. So famously, rich people don't pay sales tax because the loopholes are created deliberately so they don't have to, because they're taxed in several other ways. So if you go to the Wikipedia for taxation in the United States, it's like a solid 10 pages long of confusing text. So let's just go through a few of these. I'm not going to go deep into any of them. But taxes that most people don't have to think about include, well, for one, the tax system. Most people don't understand we have graduated tax rates. So, like, if you start making more money and you don't want the raise because you think you're going to pay more in taxes, that's wrong. That's not how it works. You're just taxed more on the amount above the minimum threshold. So let's say you get paid X amount for making $50,000 a year, and the next tax bracket is $55,000. They give you a raise to $56,000. Only that extra $1,000 is going to be taxed at the higher rate, not your whole thing. So there is no case where making more money through a raise will put you into a tax bracket that's going to cost you more money. That's the biggest stupid mistake I see people make. Deductions and exemptions, as far as regular people go, you should pay attention to those because you can deduct and exempt way more than you think. Make sure you're paying in the right states if you do business in other states. Withhold as much as you can because then you'll get a return. And then we get into some of the weirder taxes. So there's Social Security and Medicare. Those are ones you'll notice on your check. Unemployment taxes also come out of your check. That's part of the social safety net, and if you have a problem with that, you're an asshole. Reporting and payment and penalties, those are just things that can happen with payroll taxes if you avoid them. Sales tax and excise tax. I forget what excise tax is. Oh yeah, price per unit. So if you buy in bulk, the tax is lower. I think is generally how that works. Now, things that people don't think about at all, but businesses do: import of goods tax, origin of goods tax, classification tax. So depending on what the item is, the tax rate could be higher. Duty rate. That's almost doubling up from the thing before, but that's more of a flat rate. Procedures. So what are you importing? What's it going to do to the various systems? How does it affect business in our country? It's just complicated. Penalties, because people avoid all these taxes, and not always deliberately. If you're following along now, this is confusing. Foreign trade zones. So if what you're getting, where are you? What's the source of the good or service that you're getting? Where is it coming from? There are things like embargoes, and people avoid those. Sometimes legally. Estate and gift taxes. Those are something, that's another set of taxes only rich people think about. If you have a big house, you pay taxes on it every year, and they're high. And you can say, yeah, well, that's fair. They have a big house, and I have a tiny apartment. But no, it's really not. They already have it. It already exists. That is not the way they should be taxed. And no, I'm not in favor of the wealthy. I'm not some Republican. I'm not a fiscal conservative by any means. I'm a socialist. I'm just saying you're complaining about the wrong things. Next is licenses and occupational taxes, user fees. So if you're, say, like you own an underwater welding company, you're going to have to pay a lot for your licenses to operate because a lot of those people die. Tax administration. So taxes are administered by various organizations, federal, state, and local. And then here again, depending on the type of goods, you might have to deal with more entities. So that's just a quick breakdown. There's more taxes like capital gains taxes, like estate taxes. Let's see what else is on this list here. State variations. Taxes aren't the same from state to state. Non-resident taxes are different. Alternate tax bases, depending on your filing status. Taxes on the books and taxable income for businesses, so expenses versus cost of goods sold, reporting under self-assessment. Some of these numbers are things that can't be verified, but if it comes down to it and they figure out you're lying or you made a mistake, you're in trouble. Payroll taxes. If you have a staff, you have to pay taxes because you have a staff. Social Security and Medicare, yeah, that comes out of our check, but even more comes out of the boss's checks. Same with unemployment tax. Same with reporting and payment. Excise taxes, I already mentioned that. Property taxes, a lot of that depends on zoning. Property taxes are generally higher on commercial property. Not always. Gift taxes. user fees is a form of taxation. So like if you pay with MasterCard, for example, like if you make a payment for $1 and you're a small vendor, MasterCard gets 50 cents out of every, not out of every dollar, but like out of every transaction. So if you buy $1, the retailer is only getting 50 cents on that transaction. So that's just a basic, very quick breakdown of taxes that most people don't realize that job creators have to deal with. So if you're like, Trump didn't pay his income taxes, and I'm not a Trump supporter, but like Trump didn't pay his income taxes, well, he sure as shit paid a lot of other taxes. Alright, so now step 2. Taxes are bad. That's not the way a country should operate. Scanlon, I always forget his first name, Harvard professor, deontological ethicist. He's an extreme contractualist, so for him immoral means immoral. So his point of view is that taxation is as immoral as is slavery. He's not saying it's as bad in terms of what it does to people, but in terms of morality, it's fairly black and white. Wrong is wrong, and income tax is just wrong. That is not the way a country should be built. Obviously, we need goods and services, but it's not something that should be based on people who barely get paid enough to get by. Alright, so now let's go on to the next thing. I don't want to make this a long video because I hate talking economics to people because nobody understands economics. So the rich feel attacked because most people don't, again, most people just don't understand the economy. So the way they see it is the jobs that they're operating, unless you're a big box retailer, and even some of them, they're saying we can't afford to pay our employees that much. We have, like, let's say a fast food restaurant, not McDonald's, let's say it's something decent, like maybe a small chain. They have maybe 10 employees. And on any given hour, they might get 0 customers. The markup on their food, let's say it's a $10 burger, they're getting a decent markup. It's about maybe $5, $6, $7. Like, they're making money, but how many burgers are they going to sell in an hour? How many are they going to sell in a week? How many are they going to sell in a month? Most of those businesses, the owners work there all day, every day to save money. So these are, when you're talking about redistribution of money, when you're talking about issues of increasing the minimum wage, it is an attack on the wealthy. But not because people have way too much money, but the people who are being attacked aren't those with way too much money. So let's go into the next part of this. Elon Musk is the richest dude in the world right now, but his portfolio is way too complicated to explain. So I'm going to use number 2, which is Jeff Bezos, who's within a few billion of him. So people always say shit like, Bezos has $186 billion. He could solve world hunger right now if he wanted to. That's not how it works. Just because that's what he's worth doesn't mean he has $186 billion in his bank account just sitting there doing nothing. Almost all of his money is Amazon shares. So yes, theoretically he could sell those shares, but then somebody else would have to buy them. Like, you don't just sell them into a vacuum. So the money to sell the shares is coming from something. Now, where is that money coming from? Maybe it's coming from people who are working to plant longer-lasting potatoes in West Africa or something. So where is it that this money that you think Jeff Bezos can save the world is coming from. He's worth that because his shares are theoretically worth that. Liquidity, yes, he certainly has more than me. At the moment, I have $2, and I don't know when I'm going to get paid again. I got fired for leaking government documents detailing widespread corruption and incompetence. I'll be fine. You know, don't worry about me. I got good things lined up in the future, so don't worry about me. This isn't about me. This is about idiots on the internet who don't understand economics. and people well-meaning who are trying and just need to learn more. I mean, I realize I've spent my life studying this kind of stuff. I realize that most aren't on the same page as me. So if you get anything out of this, just look up some of these key terms and do your own research. Watch this a few times. I know I'm talking fast about a lot of complicated issues. But anyway, my thought is we need to, capitalism in and of itself isn't bad. We need to completely abolish the tax system, completely. We need to, universal basic income, and I do mean universal, not just for America, is necessary. Infrastructure, Keynesianism is what brought us out of the Great Depression. Building infrastructure. People don't hoard money. I have $2. What do you ever need more than $100 for? Don't hoard money. Invest it or use it. And don't be an idiot, but you can always get a job later. If you're really talented, there's always going to be work for you to do. So anyway, that's really all I have to say about economics right now. I still haven't gotten any of my stimulus checks. I didn't get my tax return from last year. So yeah, I'm getting fucked as bad as anybody. But what I'm saying is we need to find a solution that's going to work for everybody. We don't need more Band-Aids. Another thing you should research is CDOs, collateralized debt organization, collateralized debt obligations, and the central bank, the Fed. And it's not just America that has one. Look at what they're doing in Japan. That's a good example too. Anyway, I'm going to cut this off for here because I just really don't want to talk about this more than this. And this is already 20 minutes worth of me babbling pretty quickly. So, fuck off.